Welcome to Easing Into Your Body. For this session, some things that you might want to gather and have available: a chair, not absolutely necessary but helpful, a yoga block, a sturdy step stool, a dowel stick, and a stretchy band. So this is about getting comfortable with a lot of the movements and easing into them so you can learn them and do them at the same time, but we won't spend too much time on any one specific exercise. So before we get started, let's start with a core and breath check. So take your fingers and your thumbs and put them into the back and the front, all four quadrants of your belly. And see, as you breathe, standing in your good posture, weight in the heels, stacked up through that plumb line. And then as you breathe, can you feel pressure, gentle pressure into all four quadrants? So that is your safety net for your spine, the ability to move and to tone all four areas there around your core. So now try just engaging that by creating a little tension, a little pressure. So it's not a sucking in, there's no movement in the hips, it's just a tensioning of those muscles that surround the entire core. And you'll want to continue, you want to create a consciousness in this ability and skill so that your body will learn it so well that you can be unconscious with it in the future. So let's keep the core just slightly tensioned while we do some shoulder rotations. So hold loosely on the edges of your dowel stick or whatever you're using. It might be a stretchy band or a yoga strap. And then go as far as your body will allow. We're still staying in great posture. If you stop right about here, stop right about there. Really ease into the first few repetitions of this movement until your body feels comfortable going a little bit further. Of course, I've been doing this for a long time, so I can go all the way around. But the first few repetitions, I definitely need to go slower and just see how my body feels today. So we're just warming up the shoulders a little bit. No resistance. Just seeing where those end ranges are, not forcing through any sticky spots, just softening and moving gently around them. Okay, so we'll move into our next stretch, which is our lat stretch. So holding on to either the back of a chair or your dowel stick, stepping back, weight in the heels, really stick the tailbone out behind you and let your body sink down in to the stretch. So really trying to stretch through the arms and the shoulders in a different way and then down into the rib cage. And then we also get a little hamstring stretch with this. We want to definitely lengthen and wake up the tissues a little bit before we do any kind of strengthening. So feel free to wiggle around a little bit, stretch, and just feel into all those tight spaces. Breathe. And then you can come up, stretch back, maybe stretch back into it again a time or two until you feel like you've gotten a nice opening of those spaces. Okay, then we'll put the dowel stick away. And then you have an option here we're going to do step ups. So you can step up onto a block or you can step up onto your step stool. So I'm just going to start with the block. So all we're going to do is step up and down. Now, if you have a squishier yoga block, you might want to use 2 blocks. I've got some nice cork ones, but your squishier ones, it might be easier to actually step up onto. And back down. I'm leading with my right foot right now. My arms are relaxed. So we're starting to trigger our balance skills as well. If you can, do your step ups with just looking forward and let your peripheral vision find the block there for you. Let's switch to the left foot leading. So this is sort of starting to warm up the body, increasing the warmth, getting the heart going, and then getting the, like I said, the balance, the proprioceptive mechanisms turning on and aware that they may have to be doing some work today. Okay, all right, let's stretch the ankle. You can use a wall or use your dowel stick again. We're gonna put my left foot back and touch the top of my foot down. So I'm stretching the front of my ankle. And if you get a little crampy when you do this, maybe stretch the bottom of your foot first by pressing your toes and ball of the foot down. We tend to get pretty tight in this space. And then just rock a little side to side or rotate on that ankle. Ankles are so important in our balance. Okay, let's switch sides. Maybe stretch back, ball of the foot first, pressing the toes, letting the toes relax, and then just pressing the ball of the foot into the ground. And then the top of the foot down. And then just rotate, wiggle side to side a little bit to wake that up. Rotate the ankles. All right, now we're gonna go into a little bit of a lateral lunge to wake up more of the inner part of our thighs. So as wide as you want to go. And then we're just gonna keep the weight in the heels and switch back, remembering that theme of we're not gonna go as deep as we can right away. Just ease into each movement, feel what you feel. As I did that, I just felt a weird little tweak in my right side of my mid-back. It's not something I usually feel, but at this part of our lives, our bodies are changing, and we just need to honor where they're at any given day. Okay, so switching back, I'm gonna go just a little bit deeper now into my side lunge. And make sure you're really sticking your booty back there, keeping the weight in the heels. This habit will then translate to keeping the weight in the heels when you're lifting something off the floor, or you're lifting a heavy basket or box or groceries, and that will be very protective of your spine. Okay, we're gonna shift into using our chair. You know, it's not necessary, but it feels, if you're just kind of easing into squats, then it just feels a little safer to do that. So thinking about the squats, the feet should be pointing straight forward. Take a look down at your knees to make sure they're not rolling in towards each other. The knees are still pointing straight forward as well. And that you lead that motion with your tailbone. You're keeping, excuse me, you're keeping your chest and head as upright as possible. And as your body starts to wake up a little bit, you might take your squats a little bit deeper. So you're just tapping on the chair. And if you have trouble getting all the way down to chair, put a pillow on it or something that will kind of give you a target to feel, but is at a range that feels comfortable and safe for you. All right, next we'll go to the bird dogs, and I'm going to use the back of my chair since we are easing into our body. So in the bird dog, the goal is to keep everything still from the hips to the shoulders and ask the shoulders and the legs, or the arms and the legs, to move without moving anything on the back. So let's start with the arms. That should be pretty easy to do in standing. But really what I would like you to do is really feel what's happening in the spine. If you feel that your spine wants to do the work rather than asking your arms to do the work. Just pay attention to that and really try to keep everything stiff between the shoulders and the hips. So we'll toe touch back with the right leg and then lift as far as you can lift without moving anything, excuse me, in the spine. Okay, we'll just try each one, see how that feels for you. If you can keep everything still with just one limb at a time, let's right toe, left arm, and lift and hold, and we'll take a couple breaths here. Engaging all 4 quadrants of the core, but yet still breathing with the diaphragm. And we'll switch to the other side. And if this feels too easy, you can go down using the front of the chair, or you can go ahead and go onto the floor. The next, if you are not quite sure about that, then try to stay in your pose here for several breaths, maybe 10 breaths. And that will really help you teach the core to stay turned on when you need it. And then let's switch. This is a good, easy one to integrate into your day at a countertop or against a wall. But even athletes do this one, just to really check that the core is turning on and working as it should. All right, let's put the chair aside. We'll get our stretchy band. So when easing into your body, the yellow band is often the best band to choose because it is the stretchiest. So I'll turn this way, we'll step onto the band with our left foot. We'll take a step back with the right, put the band in our right hand, and again, we're keeping the core turned on so that our core stays still. We're not rotating this way, or we're just pulling back with the band. The arm stays close into your body. You should be able to even feel that arm come up against the body and squeeze your shoulder blade together. Try not to let your shoulder come up towards your ear. Just pull back. Core is tight. As tight as it needs to be to keep everything still. We'll just do several repetitions. I'm not counting. So this is both a core and an arm exercise and a back exercise, upper back. This is an area that we need to really work on for posture. Okay, let's switch to the other side. So we'll step on the band with the right foot, step back with the left, hold the band with the left at whatever tension feels right for you. Keep that arm into your side. And really squeeze the shoulder blade towards your spine, but without moving anything in your core. And we'll do a few more of these. If you feel like it's hard to do very many reps, then put a little more slack in your band. If this feels easy peasy, then reach down and put more tension in your band. Slow and controlled. All right, we're going to keep our band. We're going to hold at the ends of the band, and then we're going to stand on the middle of the band with our feet kind of about hip distance apart. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see as I stand up, the band is vertical. And we want the band to stay vertical the whole time. So as my head comes forward, my tush goes back, and then I press up, pulling the band with me. My arms are still, my spine is pretty still. It's all about the hip. All about the hip hinge. A little bit of knee bend. We're trying to keep our upper body and our head upright, looking forward. The feet are pointing forward. The knees are staying stacked, not falling in towards each other. Those are all the details we're looking for in this motion. Well, this is a really important motion for hip strength, back strength, leg strength. We warmed up earlier with our squat. Now we're adding a little resistance. And you can do this one as long as you want to. I'm already feeling a little bit going on in my hips and hamstrings. All right, let's go ahead and shift to another. We're going to move to an upper body exercise. So we're going to put the band kind of at our bra line, and then hold the band kind of between your thumb and hands here. Take a wide stance like you're a boxer. Squat into it. And then we're going to push the band forward like we're punching. So keep the weight in the heels. Keep the core turned on because we want the core to stay completely still as we use our arms. So it's protecting us, core stability and limb mobility. You can punch straight ahead. You can punch a little out to the side. You can punch a little across. Because life isn't linear. Happens in all directions. If you want more tension on your band, punch a little high, punch a little low. We're also creating the ability to do quicker movements, which is important. When we stumble, we want to be able to reach out quick with our arms to help support us. And then next, we're going to go back to the legs. Okay, we're going to do a raised lunge. So you may want your pole to support you. I'm going to use my nice sturdy step stool. Don't need anything fancy, just sturdy. And then your pole is just there to support you. Let's put the right foot up on the step stool first. You might first kind of push into a little bit, make sure it's not going to go anywhere on you. And then where the back foot is pointing forward, we're just going to start to ease into this motion a little bit. And again, don't rely on the pole necessarily. It's just there if you need it. Keeping your arms relaxed will help you more with balance. And think about lowering down and pushing back. Lowering down, pushing back. Going at whatever depth feels right to you and easing into that depth. So I started out about 50% of what I can do on a good day. And then slowly, as the front of my hip opens up here, I can sink down in. So you might be limited by hips, you might be limited by knee, you might be limited by ankle. And we're trying to keep the back heel on the ground to start out with, so we get a stretch through the calf too. Okay, let's switch sides. So again, ease in. I'm only going to do about 50% what I know I can do. I am feeling a little stiff in the front of my hip on this side too. If you're a person who spends a lot of time at a computer, at a desk, excuse me, sitting down, you may also be feeling the same thing. So then ease in a little bit more as it feels safe for your body. And there's a lot of different ways to do the raised lunge, which you'll find out as you continue to move through some of the videos. And they all feel really good to me. And you get a lot of movements, a lot of bang for your buck in this particular exercise. Another easy one you can integrate into your day at a stairs or lots of different places where you can just step up. We're going to go back to the band. We'll move that out of the way. We're going to hold the band at the ends again. I'm going to come all the way down to the end of my mat, step on my band about hip width apart, and then we're just going to go back and forth. So we're working on the lateral aspects of our hips, which is another important movement and strength component to catch ourselves if we stumble. We'll just go back and forth a few times. You might notice that you fatigue pretty quickly on this one. That's because we just don't practice this movement a lot in a lot of exercise forms. But man, is it an important ability or skill when we need it. All right, we're going to add that. We're going to add a little bit of agility. So we'll put the band aside and we'll kind of come to the middle of the mat, come into sort of a semi-squat position. And we're going to come back and forth. And if you can, you might need to step down and come over, step down and come over. That's fine. Just a little wider to your comfort and safety, of course, but maybe just a little wider than a step you might normally take to the side. And then if that feels good, maybe add a little bit of a kind of a hop to it. So beginning to build in those hopping motions. It's going to build that agility, add some crimp back into the fascia, which helps us be more bouncy and more resilient. All right. A few more of those. And then we're going to go back up to the arms. So we might do this one on the ground, or we could do it on a wall too. We'll go ahead and come down onto our knees. And rather than doing it in a full plank and easing into our body, we're going to do it from the knees. So we're using a block, and then we're going to keep the knees in place, but we're just going to go up and down. And what I'd like you to feel in this is a lot of stability in your shoulders. So your core is staying still again, your core is turning on, but you're using your shoulders, allowing some weight to be put in. Try to feel the weight of your body throughout your whole palm and into your fingers. And if that feels super easy, maybe move the block a little farther away. And that will ask your core to do a little bit more. And then as you continue to gain strength, you can continue to move the block away from you. Okay, that is a little bit of a harder one. We're going to go back to the band. We're going to do lat pull downs. So the lats again are through here. We're going to take some tension in our band and pull down. Let it pull us up, pull down, and down. feel like I could do these all day long, but it's a nice stretch and a strengthener. And our lats come all the way down to the tops of our hips, so it's really important to keep them mobile. All right, we're gonna do just a real gentle cool down. So we'll go all the way down onto the mat, onto our backs. We're gonna hug the knees in. And then we're gonna stretch our body all the way out straight. Hug it back in. We're gonna rock side to side. We'll put the feet down, we'll twist to one side with the knees, and then we'll keep our shoulders on the ground, but kind of look to the right, and the knees are to the left. So we get a little bit of a twisting through the spine, and then we'll go the other direction. Another good movement is getting onto the tummy, coming up onto the elbows. Think about your hips being grounded to the mat and then walking your elbows to the right, taking a breath or two. And then back to the center and then over to the left. And then back to the center. And we might shift back into a child's pose, whatever version of that feels right for you. Tops of the feet are on the mat, shifting the hips back as far as they'll go and stretching the arms forward. And then slowly finding your way back up to a standing position. And that concludes our easing into the body, going through a lot of the different exercises. If you choose to repeat this, you can weave in whatever you want. Do some of them longer if you feel like you need it. Do some more on one side than the other if you have a lot of asymmetries. But make it your own. We're all different and have different needs for our body. Thank you so much.